I just wanted to quickly introduce myself and this whole channel. So I'm going to be showing up more here on YouTube, so feel free to subscribe. But again, my name is Crystal Scretching. I'm from Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, a very, very small town on the Gulf Coast. And I started this self-love, self-acceptance journey myself about almost 4 years ago. And what I was seeking and looking for was just more in my life. I had done all the right things. And I even wrote this in my book, Shift. If you saw my checklist, it seemed like I was doing everything right, and I was going in the order that I was told by my parents, society, different, organizations and religious groups, that this is how you do it. This is how you show up in the world. You do all these things and you will have this abundant, successful life that you love. So I had recently graduated college and I was up for this job offer in a corporate field in my niche, my field, the industry that I studied for, in advertising. And so everything in me was like super excited because this was it. I was going to get my dream job or get my start, because it was hard for a lot of college students to come out of school and then all of a sudden be working in their field. So to everybody else, it was like, no brainer, take the job, work the ladder, and keep going. And something in me just said no. And it was crazy to me too. I was like, this is really simple, Crystal. Take the job. But something deep down within me just knew there was more. And not more necessarily like, more money or a better paying job or maybe something just different. I felt like if this is what happens when I follow these checklists and these rules, and this is what I'm getting out of life, then I'm ready to do it a different way. I'm ready to do what I feel is best for me, because I feel like there was more, I was feeling there was more to life than just that. And so I made this crazy, amazing decision to just walk away. I walked away, and after a series of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I just put a halt to my whole life. I stopped and I said, I'm not moving any further forward in this life unless it is in my purpose, because there has to be more to this life. So I moved back home with my parents. And have you ever heard of like somebody who's living in their parents' basement? I was feeling like I was living in my parents' basement. And this was not something that was easy for me. I'm an ambitious person, always have been, always wanted to be a part of, extracurricular organizations and doing a lot and always wanting to succeed and get good grades. So for me to be, 26 at the time, 25 at the time, for me to be this age and then be moving back in with my parents, by the way, while having a 2-year-old, it was really almost embarrassing, to be honest, but it was a humbling path for me. And in doing this, in deciding to do something for myself for the first time, even though I was scared and it almost seemed crazy, it was the most liberating thing ever to finally, after being the good girl and trying so hard to do these checklists and to show up for everybody, to make a decision that was mine and mine alone, that went against what maybe conventional path would tell me to do. It was the most liberating feeling I ever had. And so I started on this journey and wanting more. And that might be where you are, right? I'm wanting more in my life. I know there's more to this. There's more to me. I know I have gifts. What I really learned about this was that it wasn't just, I need a career change, or I need to show up differently in this area, or, I want to try this out. It was more of, I wanted to get to know who I really was and start building and creating this life that reflected that person. And so for me, I literally just started walking, and I mean literally, like I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I'm seeking, I'm searching. And I just walked outside in nature probably every day. I just went for a walk, whether it was on the beach, whether it was out in the park. And in doing this, I started having these conversations with myself. And I started recognizing that I had this inner dialogue that was going against a lot of the things that I said or thought I wanted for myself. And so I started recognizing that language and started changing it. So I started hearing myself tell myself things like this, you're a failure. You're never going to get it right. I would say things like, every time I try at this, no matter how hard I go, no matter how convicted I feel, I'm always let down at the end, or I don't ever get picked, or I don't win. Um, Stuff with my dad, I would say things like, no matter what, I'm never going to please him, which actually might be true. But, it was a lot of negative talk that I would just tell myself and just beat up on myself, getting it wrong again, not showing up right, not cleaning my room at all times, just things that you just feel make this perfect life. I started recognizing I was beating myself down for a lot of it. So I started flipping that. I read several books. I did a lot of searching, which is probably like where you are. If you found this, you're probably searching. And in doing that, I started realizing that I could actually reprogram the dialogue and conversation that was running in my mind to start to support the dreams and the life that I wanted to create. And so instead of saying all these things and beating myself up and saying, Crystal, you didn't get it right again. There you are, not getting it right again. Or there you are, no matter how hard you try, you always seem to fail. Or you're never going to stop eating all that food because da 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 da. Whatever that was, I started flipping it and saying, you know what? No matter what is happening right now, I am worthy. I am enough. And that was my biggest one. I never felt enough. I'm not skinny enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough, not classy enough, not educated enough, just on and on and on. And so I started telling myself that as I walked, I am enough. I am. And the more that I said these things, mixed with a deep conviction of my truer self, which I feel like is like my 5-year-old, 8-year-old self, probably like even 4-year-old. She was awesome. I started recognizing that this was the actual truth of who I was versus this pseudo confident, character, this pseudo character that I built for my persona. And so I did this for, I don't know, maybe a few years. And literally within the first year, I started seeing all these changes. I started recognizing what it is I enjoyed more. I started recognizing my purpose was to help other people take the same path and journey. And in doing that, I found myself meeting several mentors, being in these environments of people that supported this life that I saw for myself, and opportunity and wild experience and open doors just seemed to come out of left and right field. And they still do to this day. But I know that happened only when I changed the inner dialogue that actually was the root of my foundations. And so I am showing up for you in the same capacity to be the spark and the reminder of your greatness, of your truer self, of your higher self. So I know that this isn't just something for me. I know that this experience isn't because I'm special. I know that we all come as creators in this world with this power to create our reality, to create our experience. And a lot of times when people say that, it seems very out there, right? Like, create your reality. I can get out there and woo and all of that. I'm into it. But I know for the everyday person, it's like, that's great. I just want to pay my bills. I just want to actually like myself a little bit. And I recognize that creating my reality, it was those things. It was being able to show up and not have my kid on time for school and have my hair being wild some mornings and not getting it all right and not cooking the meal and making it perfect and not always, succeeding at the things I'm trying at or having these big wins. I recognize in all of those moments, I could love myself through that and I could still accept myself through that. And so that support that I gave myself was me creating a life that I loved. And so that's what I'm showing up for you today. I'm showing up for you so I can remind you of your greatness so you can start to create a life that you love. So feel free to subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be popping on with lots of support so I can help remind you of your greatness so you can create the life that you love, that supports your highest good, that is your best quality of life possible. I want to be a reminder for you and reminding you of the unlimited potential that you really possess so you can tap back into your inner power. Go to crystalscretching.com and download this free audio that will reprogram that negative self-talk to the positive and get you in motion going towards a life that you love.